This is the FlipNerd.com Expert Real Estate Investing Show, the show for real estate investors, whether you're a veteran or brand new. I'm your host, Mike Hambright, and each week I bring you a new expert guest that will share their knowledge and lessons with you. If you're excited about real estate investing, believe in personal responsibility, and taking control of your life and financial destiny, you're in the right place. Welcome to the FlipNerd.com Real Estate Investing Show. We're continuing our release of the top 10 shows for 2018. Every year we publish this list, and it includes fan favorites and some of our own internal favorites. Today's show is my good friend Trevor Mauch, CEO of Investor Carrot. Now, it's undeniable that more and more of lead generation has moved online, and that's a trend that's only going to continue. We're never going back. Aside from being an outstanding and inspiring guy, Trevor is one of the nation's leading experts on online lead generation for real estate investors. And in this episode, he shared some powerful tips on how to supercharge lead generation for your real estate investing business. Let's go ahead and start this episode. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Mike, what's up, man? Thanks for the return visit. I almost feel like David Letterman showing some of those guys where they have the return guests continually.
Yeah.
I always love coming on the flip.
Yeah, I think on one of the previous shows, we have a picture of you with like bell bottoms on. So it's been so long ago. So.
That's right.
It's funny. This is actually, we were just talking about, this is actually the third time you've been on. But if folks say, well, I could hear an old one, like, you know, what we do now is I have a lot of folks on the show now that are in our mastermind, our Investor Fuel mastermind, coaching students, people that have been through our programs, and people that I've become really good friends with over the years. And we're not, you know, when I first started, I always want to have somebody new. Like, I think the first couple hundred episodes, we had like all new people. There were no repeats. And then I realized, man, you and I get energized talking to you every time we talk. Mm-hmm. And so I think our listeners do too. And just to give some context, you were on in December of 2014, January of 2016. And now here we are. Hard to believe. I had to do the math there. I was like, man, that's been 2.5 years ago since you were on the show last time. So hopefully you got a couple new things to talk about today.
We do. And I'm excited for it. And one thing too, I'm definitely bummed I missed the last Investor Fuel, but I'm pumped for the next ones. And whether if people that are listening to this isn't a pitch for Investor Fuel, it is, but it isn't. Like, join a mastermind. This year I'm in two, kind of three masterminds right now, one real estate one, and then two that are helping me build my business. And dude, it's so valuable to surround yourself with amazing people. So kudos to you for what you've built. And thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, we're excited to have you as a part of it. And Adrian too, right? Mm-hmm. So today we're going to talk about, I think, like you said, you kind of said the phrase, I say this all the time, the elephant in the room, right? Mm-hmm. We know it's competitive right now. Hey, before we jump into that, I want you to introduce yourself, but we're going to talk about like how to really separate yourself online with advertising and lead generation and building your brand. And there's probably nobody better to talk about that than Trevor. But Trevor, before we get started, for those that don't know who you are, don't know you yet, maybe take a minute and just introduce yourself.
Yeah, Trevor Mauch own a company called Carrot. We mainly work with real estate investors and now some agents, helping them really kind of crack through that clutter online. How do you generate more leads online? Motivated sellers, cash buyers, tenants, land people, houses, the whole thing. A little over 2 million leads our clients have pulled in, online leads in the past 36 months or so, and growing, man. So if you Google any phrase for motivated house sellers in any city in the country, you're probably going to find 3 to 8 Carrot clients dominating page one.
That's awesome. So let's talk about this market. We're in a different market right now, a different part of the cycle. It's more competitive. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Let's talk about it. Kind of give your thoughts on where we are in the market cycle.
Man, first of all, so we had our little tiny event called Carrot Camp out here, and one of our clients, Brian, actually from Dallas, where you are. I want to tell the story first because it's so important that if you're a newer investor, if you're kind of struggling right now, I don't want you to feel because it's a competitive market that you're disadvantaged. Like there's more opportunity in this market. You just have to go kind of sift through a little bit more competition during it. So it's still an amazing time to start investing or ramp it up or anything. So Brian there in Dallas, he started investing in Dallas, arguably one of the most competitive markets in the country for house flippers and wholesalers. And he started at the end of 2016, and he could have had that kind of same excuse of like, man, the market's heating up. Everyone's piling in here. And he started and he just executed some things I'm going to be telling you guys today. These all online. He didn't do anything offline. Offline's amazing. We just happen to specialize in online. We have a lot of people that do a lot of offline and amplify it with online, make their offline marketing work better with online. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But Brian chose, man, I'm just going to focus all online. And he went through in a really competitive market, did some of the things we're going to talk about today. And he pulled over $600,000 in revenue out his very first year investing as a wholesaler in Dallas. So I wanted to start with that, not to vet Brian or myself. I'm like, I don't want you guys thinking, oh man, it's competitive. I started at the wrong time. I should have started 4 years ago. The right time to start is now. It's kind of like that analogy. They said, when's the right time to plant a tree? Well, 20 years ago, but the second best time is today.
Exactly.
And so that's amazing. But yeah, the markets are crazy competitive. If you look at market cycles, of course, 8 to 10 years is kind of that real estate cycle that's kind of normal. We're right about around that time. And there's amazing investing opportunities in all different times of the cycle. You just have to kind of look at different types of opportunities. 7, 8 years ago, it was like short sales. Then it was this and then it was that. And now wholesaling is kind of the thing. Flipping was 3 or 4 years ago. Flipping is still amazing. But a lot of the guys who are big flippers are starting to do even more wholesale deals now while they're still flipping on the side. So they're both amazing. But during that kind of up part of the market, a lot of people want to enter it as an investor and as an agent. And that creates more competition for us. Now, that might sound like a bad thing, but it's really decently easy to differentiate yourself from the majority of those people who are diving in, because they're not going to put in the work that I'm going to be walking through today that you guys should do.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you said there. One is you talk about when people are doing short sales. So I bought hundreds of deals, and I've actually never done a single short sale. I never went after REOs. I didn't do those things. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be a cycle when those come back around, because there will. But the interesting thing is, like, the direct to seller marketing and a lot of the stuff that you specialize in it's people that are in a situation that has always existed and will always exist.
Yep.
Death, divorce, inheritance, problem rentals, things like that. I mean, that's not a market cycle issue. That's a life issue. And those things never change. So there's no more or less deals out there than there's ever been. It's just that it's more competitive because there's more people that are trying to get them, I guess.
Yep. I love it. That's a great point, man. I love it.
Yeah. And there was one other thing that you just said that, about the fact that most people won't get it. Now, if you're listening to this show, I want you to listen hard here, is that there's a lot of people that aren't willing to do the work. Trevor's going to share some awesome tips with you today. And we're going to talk about some stuff that could really change your business. But you got to be willing to do the work. The reality is that 8 or 9 out of 10 people that are going to listen to this today probably say, oh, that's really interesting. And they're going to put it on a shelf and move on. And so that's what differentiates successful people, even in a competitive market, is those that say, that's awesome. I'm going all in on it. I'm going to go do that. So if you're listening right now, we want you to be successful. So listen up, take notes, take some good notes here.
I love it.
So let's kind of get started, Trevor. Let's talk about how to effectively stand out from your competition in a competitive market like this online.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we found is, as we were kind of helping a lot of newer investors, mid-tier and really experienced investors, is even a lot of the experienced investors, their marketing was all marketing towards the same part of the decision cycle that a seller has. They're all marketing towards the front of it. So if you guys can take out a piece of paper, just kind of build a visual in your mind. We have a graph of this on our blog, but I'll kind of paint out the visual. Is the path that a seller goes through to make a decision is this. First of all, they're problem aware. Okay, they have to be aware that they have a problem in the first place. I just inherited the house. It's official. A divorce is happening. We have to sell it. We're moving. I couldn't sell it with the agent. It sat there for a while. Whatever it is, there's something that popped up that made them aware of this problem that they now have. When someone's problem aware, now they're going to start to notice marketing messages that they didn't notice 4 months ago. They're going to see the billboard that they've driven by 100 times, but didn't take any mental note of it because it wasn't speaking to them. They didn't have the problem. They are going to do some Google searches that they weren't doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, even a week ago, because they didn't have that problem then now they do. And so at that point, they're problem aware. People are going to start seeking out solutions. They're going to go to Google and type some things. They're going to ask their friends. They're going to notice that billboard or that radio ad or that direct mail piece that lands in their door. And rather than ripping it up, now they're going to read it because it's relevant to them. Right. Most people's marketing markets to the problem aware person and only to the problem aware person. It basically says, hey, here's your problem. I can solve that thing. And here's some basics of how we do it. That's your simple We Buy Houses, right?
Yep.
We buy houses is a straight up problem aware marketing message. If you need a house, awesome, we'll buy it. Now that's amazing. We have to let people know that what we do, so they know that we can solve their problem. But most people stop there. So the next stage is they go to solution aware. So after they've had a chance to do some Google searches, Aunt Peggy gave them a referral to a real estate agent who might be able to help them over here. They drove by and saw that billboard of that bandit saying they got some direct mail pieces. There's probably 6, 7, 8 different options in their mind now of how they can solve this problem. One of them over here might be a real estate agent because, like I said, Aunt Peggy knows an agent and houses are selling quickly now, she says. And there's the bandit sign. You took down the phone number that says we buy houses on it, and you've done some Google searches, and you started to get your first postcard or whatever in the mail, right? So now that's your landscape of these solutions. Right. And you start to seek out how these solutions work. And during the solution aware phase, we need to be educating them on how our solution works. Okay, that's where on your website, you need to make sure that the very first thing in your website needs to address the problem aware mind. Hey, we can buy your house or sell your house fast and all cash, the things that everybody says, right?
Right.
That, and then the solution aware part of your website or a part of your marketing offline needs to be, okay, how does it work? Because at that point, people are going to, okay, I understand that it looks like these 5 or 6 people have a solution that can probably solve my problem. They can buy houses. They all say they sell quickly, no fees, things like that. They all look kind of the same, but let me understand how they work. So how does this service work to where someone's going to buy my house? So have a how it works page on your website, right? Inside of your marketing pieces, if you're sending 6, 7, 8 marketing pieces in a series to someone, don't always send the same, hey, we'll buy your house, we'll buy your house, we'll buy your house. By piece number 2 or 3, they already know that you can buy their house. They probably have questions on how it works. How is it different than working with an agent? How is it different than working with investor number 3 over here? Right? So in that solution aware phase, we need to educate them on how your process works. We need to add transparency. And I want everyone to write that down, because in this market right now, one of the biggest ways you can cut through that clutter from your competition is by adding transparency. Because most people, especially a newer house flipper or wholesaler, they are kind of afraid to add transparency in how they're coming up with their offer price, as an example.
Or even transparency on who they are, right? I think a lot of people hide behind a company and they're like, this is my company. I think you would probably agree with this. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people historically have tried to present themselves as being a big company. And I think there's this kind of movement towards, hey, it's me and my family and we want to help your family, right? It's like a little more personal. And I think the more people can do that, they're like, hey, this is a real person. I'd prefer to work with them, right? Yeah, man. It's like, it can be kind of drilling down into the individual person or the individual family, but also you can do it with a big company. You just have to add humanity to your company. Right. And that's the big thing. Like, not faceless. Yeah, exactly. Not a nameless, faceless company. Have a company that has real core values, that cares about people. Have a company that actually has a mission somewhere that helps the community, things like that. And so that's one of the biggest things that people can do to crack through in this market is add transparency. So let me give you an example. A lot of people come to us saying, man, I want a website that looks like that Open Door website or OfferPad, or Express Home Buyers. Brad Chandler, a friend of ours who's out here at Carrot Camp recently, one of the largest home buyers in the country. And they all kind of have a very similar flow. It's like single form field. It's this and that. We've tested all that stuff. And the reason we haven't rolled out single form field yet as a default option with Carrot is because out of the 25 or so sites we tested on, it didn't conclusively win in the majority of them. It actually won. Tennessee crushes it for some reason with single form field and then step 2. Or other markets it bombed. So what I'm getting at here is a lot of people will look at these Open Doors, OfferPads, the big people out there, and okay, let me emulate the things that look like are the things that I think are working. That single form field thing, this here, this testimonial thing here. But with Open Door as an example, one of the big reasons they're winning is because one of their unique selling propositions that differentiates them from a normal house buyer or wholesaler is transparency. Is I can go on that website and there's 2 or 3 things that add transparency. One of the first ones is I have no question how my offer got calculated. They actually have a thing at the very top of their website that says pricing on it. And I can click that and it gives an aura of transparency anyway. How transparent is it? I don't know. I've never bought or sold from Open Door, but it gives an aura of transparency in pricing. It says the average Open Door client pays whatever it is, 8% of retail value to us.
And it's very clear. Here's exactly how it works. Here's how it compares to a real estate agent. Cool.
Yep.
I can add that up in my mind and I can go, okay, they're going to calculate real market value based off of real stuff. Okay, that's something I can check. Like I can ask a real estate agent, I can do that. And then they're probably going to charge me about 6, 7, 8% of that number. Dude, that's sweet. It doesn't seem like they're screwing me over, right?
Right,
it's
right.
clear, it's transparent. But most real estate investors on the house flipping and wholesaling side of things, they go into it saying, we'll make you an offer, but we're not going to tell you how we came up with that offer. So the smart people are actually, when they make the offer, they're walking you through all the details. Hey, here's exactly how we made the offer. Here's how we came to it. Here's the value of the house. And here's the things that we did. And we were talking about it actually at the last Investor Fuel that I was at, where John Martinez was talking about that exact thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that's it. All real estate investors need to add transparency at the offer. But how do we add it in our marketing too?
That's awesome.
Another way that Open Doors adding transparency is if someone's going to pick up the phone and call you, or they're going to opt into your website, one thing that we always want to make sure people do is we want to show them the experience that they're going to have after they engage with you. Okay. So if you're, here's an example. So someone lands in your website, they are in the dark on what's going to happen after they submit their information.
Right.
They don't know if they're going to get hounded by a cold call, a calling center.
What are the next steps?
Yeah. What's on page 2? So one thing Open Door did, and we've started to do with a lot of our clients too, and I was doing this years ago in my other companies too, is we would record a video in my previous companies. We would record a video of me going through and buying the thing, showing them the order page, showing them what would happen after the order page, showing them the confirmation page, the email that they would get. We would say, just go to this page. Now they could see the process. All their fear was relieved. Open Doors doing the same thing. They have a video on their homepage that shows someone filling out that page, what the next form looks like, what the next form looks like, and what the offer looks like. So someone can already see the process. So find ways in your business how you can borrow from what everyone else is doing, especially if you're a newer investor, but then go, okay, where can I add transparency that they're not? Because if you add transparency that your competitors are not, you're going to stand out big time. And I'm going to accelerate through the rest of this. After the solution aware phase, then they start to go, okay, I've whittled it down to 3 or 4 real options. These 2 people have given me offers. This agent I've talked to, who should I work with? And that's where your about page comes in big time. Yeah, make sure you have an about page in your website that has a picture of you or your team. Add in core values. What do you believe in? Like, why are you running this business? Is it all about profit, or do you actually believe in something that's greater than yourself? Add that stuff in there. Brian Rockwell in Dallas, he added that in, and his performance went up. Like, not just conversion, but one thing that happens is by building a better credibility profile in your marketing, on your websites, in your offline marketing, all that stuff, it increases your close ratio of your leads. It doesn't just increase your leads, it increases the close ratio of the leads that you get, because they're almost like pre-sold on who you are and that you're a great person, that you can solve their problem before they even talk with you.
If you're an active real estate investor already doing deals and looking to double or triple your business, you should consider joining the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. We're a small group of investors that share our best practices, tips, and tricks with one another in an effort to all win. We limit our membership to only 1 to 2 members per market, so everyone shares their knowledge, tips, and tricks openly and honestly. Our members include some buying 1 to 2 houses a month, up to some of the most respected investors and leaders in the real estate investing industry, some of which have personally done over 1,000 deals. If you'd like to be considered for our invitation-only world-class mastermind, please visit investorfuel.com to request your personal invitation. Our next meeting is coming up quickly. Go to investorfuel.com now to learn more.
Page comes in big time. Yeah, make sure you have an about page in your website that has a picture of you or your team. Add in core values. What do you believe in? Like, why are you running this business? Is it all about profit, or do you actually believe in something that's greater than yourself? Add that stuff in there. Brian Rockwell in Dallas, he added that in, and his performance went up. Like, not just conversion, but one thing that happens is by building a better credibility profile in your marketing, on your websites, in your offline marketing, all that stuff, it increases your close ratio of your leads. It doesn't just increase your leads, it increases the close ratio of the leads that you get, because they're almost like pre-sold on who you are and that you're a great person, that you can solve their problem before they even talk with you.
What if your site is, what if you're not a one-man band or a one-woman band, and the About Us might show your family, but there's different acquisitions managers kind of going out? I mean, do you just position your About Us more about our team, or how do you do that?
Yeah, dude, here's a great example. So we bought a river home here in Roseburg, Oregon 2 years ago. And a year after that, part of our hillside fell into the river, like literally big old rain, biggest rain in like 100 years, all in 2 days, and 20 feet of our hillside below our deck fell in the river. So I start to ask people, hey, who do I actually talk to about this? People told me, well, some like earth moving and foundation repair companies. So I started to research them. And then what I did was I went to 3 or 4 of their websites. 2 of them were local, and 1 of them was a regional player. And I read the different sites. One of them was very, very clear that they're all big companies, except for one of them was a small local operation. So one of them was very, very clear. It was a locally based company too, but regional, the largest foundation repair company in the Northwest, based here in Roseburg, Oregon. And I'm like, man, this looks really great. I can see their process. It's very clear. Like, it shows before and after photos. There's a bunch of testimonials on here that look legit and like real people that enjoyed their service.
Right.
And I go to their About page, and it's a big company. They have 150 employees. But I can tell what the company's about. Like, it showed their core values. It showed some people, some of them, not all of them. It showed a picture of a bunch of the people in their office are real people. All we have to do for your bigger companies, you need to add humanity to the mix. You need to add humanity. So it could be a picture of your whole team in front of your office. It could be a picture of select team members doing work, but they're happy and they're real people.
Right.
Maybe your leadership team.
Show the happiness shots.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? Something
don't show the frowny face, though. Yeah, you don't
yeah, something that's candid. But one thing that was really cool, and this was a bigger company, and they totally added humanity to the equation, and they made it to where they were the last ones that I had an appointment for that week, and I 100% had zero inclination at all to even consider the other 2 people's proposals until I talked with these people, because of the way they had pre-positioned me. So I opted into their website. I get a call from them pretty immediately, within an hour. I mean, it wasn't like real estate investor immediate, but it was pretty immediate. And I talked to a nice lady. We set an appointment for that Friday, which was after the other 2. And she goes, okay, so Mark, whatever, is going to be the technician that we're going to send to your house. And here's what here's what the appointment's going to look like. He'll probably be there about 30 minutes. He's going to look at these things. I'm going to send you an email right now, or Mark will send you an email here in the next 24 hours, kind of reviewing the process again, introducing himself. That's all automated. Like, she just like triggered the appointment with Mark, and then they have an automated email from Mark that says,
right,
hey, Mark, hey, Trevor, this is Mark. Looking forward to meeting with you on insert date Friday this week.
Right.
And here's a little packet that kind of reviews the process we'll go through, attached PDF. I'm like, cool. There's a picture of Mark in that email. There's Mark. There's Mark's name. Mark actually showed up to my house, so I felt like I knew him already. And I knew the exact process he was going to go through before he even got there. And he did awesome. He did the process. And so to answer that question, the small mom and pops can definitely, they definitely have a cool advantage, as in I can really like show that I'm just like you. I'm a person just like you. I'm a family person potentially. And I'm just here to help homeowners. And I built the business out of it. The bigger companies have the same opportunity.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, I've talked about this with some of our coaching students and our partners, is even comparing them to me. Like, when you get bigger and you have a bigger team, or you've got other businesses, or things get a little more complicated, you start to, some of the individuals or husband-wife teams or whatever, small teams, can out-navigate, some of the bigger players in the market. Because a lot of the bigger players in the market they're just naturally, they're just throwing money at stuff. They're trying to they're more like a cruise ship, and the individual guy can just out navigate us because they're like a little ski boat,
Yep.
So I think some of the stuff that you're talking about being personal, and truthfully, that's what I would say is 90, 95 out of 100 of the real estate investors out there, 99 out of 100 are the small individual people. I mean, that's probably who is listening to this show right now, right?
Yeah.
And so they have a competitive advantage that they can be more nimble and show who they are because they're the ones going on the appointments. They don't have to have a bunch of software that's merging in Mark and Mark's image and all this stuff. It's like, just be you, right?
Yep. 100%. And that's a great point, man. So, and that's the cool thing is be simple with it. And and I'll kind of wrap this loop here is make sure that in your marketing piece, whether it's an offline marketing piece or an online marketing piece or your website, or we're going to get into it here in a little bit with some Facebook stuff we'll teach you. Make sure that you're not just presenting, hey, we can buy your house, but present how our service works, how it's different, the transparency part of it, and then present, here's who we are. We're real people, add the humanity. So go straight towards what problem we can solve, and then how does it work, and give them a glimpse behind the machine on how you're going to calculate offers, and this and that, how the appointment's going to work when I show up, and then go, here's who we are. Here's the humanity side of it. If you nail those sides of it, man, in this market, 8 out of 10 investors aren't doing that. You can offer less. Like we'll hear from people all the time that, man, I offered $20,000 less than these other 3 investors, but this person told me that they trusted me more. They're like, they couldn't peg why. They told me that they couldn't peg why they trusted me more, but they just felt like they trusted me more. And they're willing to take.
That's awesome. Yeah, on your website, one other thing I'll say, I know you would agree with this, and I'm guilty of this for sure, is we would run, I hire a pay-per-click firm. They run my ads. So they're running all sorts of copy, right? Are you, going through divorce, right? And then we take them to some like generic, like, fill out your information here, we'll buy your house. Like there's nothing on the page that answers that question for that use case, if you will, right? I mean, I bet you'd probably say 80-90% of investors are doing the same thing, right? They're taking them to a standard landing page that supposedly converts well, but they're not answering that person's question. We talked about this actually 2 years ago. It's kind of like inserting yourself in the conversation that they're having. And they're like, I'm in this situation. Mom just died. I inherited this house. What do I sell? We have like inherit a house, like click here to learn more, but then they don't learn more. We just say, well, fill out a form and we'll tell you more later.
Exactly. I mean, that page is marketing just towards the problem aware person at that point. Like, hey, you got a house, I can buy it kind of thing. But it doesn't give transparency for why you should sell a house that you inherited to me, that I understand the probate process or that process well. Right. I can help you navigate through it. I'm not just a person who can make you an offer and get the house. I'm also a person that can help you navigate this situation because I've done it before.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just mentioned kind of Facebook advertising. So I know there's a lot of discussion out there about trying to crack the code for real estate investors on social media. Some people say they've cracked the code. Some people are like, I tried it and it doesn't work. A lot of people are like, well, I haven't even tried it yet. But kind of share your thoughts. Where are we at with getting social media marketing? Maybe we just kind of limit it to Facebook for right now. Yeah. Facebook advertising to work for seller leads.
Man, Facebook is interesting, right? Because if you had asked me 2 years ago, we were actively advocating and educating our clients to not use Facebook for cold seller marketing 2 years ago. And it was because, it wasn't working that great. You could get leads out of it 2.5, 3 years ago, but the problem was they were really high cost. You're going to dump a bunch of money in before you figure it out. Right. And at that point, Facebook had fewer targeting options. They honestly weren't aggregating and appending as much data as they are now to people's accounts. And that's one thing a lot of people don't recognize is whatever information you put into Facebook, you gave to them, but then they have all these identifiers. They got your cell phone number. They know your email address. They know all kinds of things about you because they ask a question here and there over the course of years. You've given them probably dozens, if not hundreds of data points. Yep. And so they go out and buy data from the big data aggregators. It could be the credit card companies that aggregate all this purchase information about your net worth or housing stuff. And so they append all this stuff onto their contacts because they've got your phone number, email, name, location, all that stuff. They know who your family members are, your friends, all that. So over the years, that's gotten way better to where you can do targeting inside of their stuff and make it perform better. Also, they've also made it easier for you to upload your own custom lists. And that wasn't something that we could do easily 2.5, 3 years ago. Yeah. So today it's working great. And I'll kind of give you guys the 3 type of targeting that you should be focusing on in this order. that's working really, really well. And we actually have a free Facebook resource we can send you to that kind of outlines an ideal campaign.
Cool.
But really where you should be starting is this. Start with any list that you bring to Facebook. Those are the most effective. Any list you bring to Facebook. That could be a custom audience list from your website visitors. In other words, a retargeting list. So someone lands on your website because you took the little Facebook pixel that they give you for free. You take that and put that on your website one time. And then you do like 5 or 10 minutes of magic inside the back of your Facebook ads account. It's not magic. It's pretty easy stuff. But you just create a custom audience based off of anyone who landed on your website and had that little pixel fire.
Yep.
So you're building that up. That's one we always have people implement. I'll tell you a couple of things you can do with that here in a second. The next one is any lists you're buying or aggregating yourself for your direct mail, for your cold calling, anything like that. So if you're doing cold calling or direct mail right now and those lists are working for you, man, take those things and throw that data inside of Facebook. And I know it sounds simple. There's resources and tutorials that can show you how to do that. But you'll have to, if let's say all you have is, let's say all that you have is their address and name, and you got the location in there, you can send those through to VAs or skip tracing services and get more information, get their phone number and things like that. And Facebook's pretty darn good at matching things up. Our kind of rule of thumb is if you're taking a custom list, direct mail list, cold call list, and throwing it into Facebook, ideally have at least 3 data points on that person. Because if you just have name in town, there might be 14 Mark Smiths or 100 Mark Smiths.
Right.
But if you've got Mark Smith's name, he's in Dallas, and I've got a phone number, or I've got a specific address or whatever, then you can really hone that ad into the real Mark Smith that you're looking for, that has a house that has a tax lien on it, or has a house that has fines or things like that, on it.
Yeah.
Code violation.
That's a pretty popular thing now. That's like, if there's any trend for like 2017, kind of the back half of 2017, first half of 2018, it was around skip tracing and cold calling, right?
Yep.
It's still pretty popular. Now, probably the big thing for 2018 is a lot more discussion about list stacking for direct mail, right? And you're talking about the same thing. It's just online, like stack up all these motivational flags or data about the person to say, my list might be smaller, but I'm getting to the person that has many potential issues going on, is much more likely to sell.
Man, and the cool thing is, so this is where it gets exciting, because with me, online marketing, I mean, you can crush it with just online marketing. You can. Going back to Brian Rockwell, he was 100% online. He executed the plan. He did exactly what we told him to do, and he crushed it. But the people who are doing the best are combining their offline with their online. And so you talked about the list stacking there. Can you imagine if you got your cold call list or direct mail list or whatever, and you've done what you need to do to make it really highly targeted, you've list stacked.
Right. And
to kind of define that for people, that could be, as an example, you pull a code violation list, and you pull, a past due taxes list, and whatever it is.
Yep.
And these people end up on multiple lists. Like, those are going to be really highly targeted. So can you imagine if you take those, you upload them into Facebook, you start to serve them up ads the same day, the same week you're calling them on the phone, and you direct mail drops in their box, and you actually take a picture of that direct mail piece that landed in their thing, and you make that an ad to them.
Yeah. Did you see this postcard we just sent you? Yeah, you're like all over them, right?
Yeah. So that way,
or as they say, you're like white on rice. You're just like,
yeah. So like you're bringing it into both modalities, and you hope that you get them on the phone or on direct mail. But then for people in certain segments, I mean, they're spending hours a day on Facebook. There's some number that I saw that people log into Facebook or check their phone on Facebook 20 to 50 times a day. Yeah. And so if you're one of those ads that pops up in their stream and they notice that, which postcard or letter do you think that they're actually going to notice in that stack? It's probably the one that they just saw on Facebook 10 minutes ago.
Right.
So that's really, really cool stuff you can do. So let me give people a couple really actionable tips on retargeting, because this is something everybody should do on their website. So if you have a website, it doesn't matter if you're with Carrot, it doesn't matter if you're with whatever. Log into Facebook, go to the business, the ads manager, or just go to Google and type up how to find my Facebook pixel. Like, you'll find a bunch of tutorials or articles on that.
Okay.
Find that Facebook pixel, go into your website, and Carrot will make it really simple. There's one box, you plunk it in and it's done. But you can find out how to put it on your website somewhere else. And that's now going to place that on your whole website. So any people who land on your website are now going to get built into that audience. And here's a few things you should do following what we talked about earlier in this call, knowing how a seller makes a decision. Create one ad that is direct to the person or direct to the mindset of the problem aware. It says, hey, I can buy your house in this area. Here's the things I can do. Like, we're just saying, it's a direct call to action ad. I can buy your house. Here's a service offer. Do this. One ad that is adding transparency to your process. It could be a video that walks through, hey, you might be looking at selling your house in the Dallas market, and you probably looked at home buyers like me and maybe even a real estate agent. I'm going to walk you through in this really quick video exactly how I come to a value in your house. I'm going to show you exactly how I would make your offer. Just go here and you can get your own offer. That'd be pretty cool. I never see anyone doing that. And then the other two ads, so do 4 ads in that retargeting sequence. The other 2 ads are credibility building ads that are going to pull someone through the vetting and verifying phase to decision. So you've got one direct ask ad. You've got one, and that's your We Buy Houses type thing. You've got one ad that is transparency to process. Then you've got 2 ads that are credibility, pulling them through to decision. And write this down, because this is kind of advanced, but I don't want to ever speak, below people. I want to pull people up.
Yep.
So this is kind of advanced. And I was just on a call with one of the larger home buyers in Columbus, Ohio, big turnkey guy, Dave Perichin here.
Dave's a buddy of mine.
Dude, he's a good dude. And I was laying out to him, because we're going through the concierge process with him for Carrot, really nailing his site. And I'm like, dude, we need some testimonials. They have a lot of them. And he's like, yeah, I can get you a whole bunch of them. I'm like, before you do, I want to give you this action plan. And this is what I tell all of my high-end clients. I say, write these things down on a piece of paper. What are the biggest fears, frustrations, or obstacles or objections a seller may have in working with you or with a home buyer like you? And they're pretty standard. It's your, are they going to lowball me and they're going to give me a fair offer? Are they like legit and legal? Is this just a fly-by-night operation? Are they actually going to do what they say? Because I heard from this person over here that they just make lowball offers and they don't close on them, or whatever it is. Are they an axe murderer or a real person? Like, there's probably 4 or 5 or 6 things. Like, what's the process like? Whatever. And then write those down and then go, okay, find a testimonial that addresses each one of those. And that's how your testimonial should be on your website, in your offline marketing, and in your ads. And so in those 2 ads, pick a testimonial for each. One of those should blast through the biggest objection, probably price, honestly, and can you actually close quickly? And the other one should blast through the second biggest objection, which is probably, are you legit? Like, are you someone who's going to follow through with what you said, and are you a nice person?
Yep.
And ideally your video ads are going to get a lot more play than image ads, but image ads are still working really well too. So that's your 4 retargeting ads. You put that in there and you drive in traffic there from online or from your direct mail or from your here's, let's say you uploaded that custom list of, code violations, you get them to click the thing in your original ad and goes back to your website. Let's say they don't opt in. Now they're on your retargeting sequence too. And you serve them up that sequence. So I know it sounds kind of complicated, but get that darn pixel on your website, create those 4 ads, have someone help you set up that audience in Facebook, and you're set.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And did you mention, you said you had a resource to share? Do you know what that is off the top of your head?
Yeah.
You can send it to me afterwards and we can put it in the page.
Yep. We'll give you the link and it'll be below wherever you're watching this. So go check it out in there.
Okay. Cool, man. So if folks kind of heard all this, Trevor, and they're like, this sounds like a lot of stuff. As time went by, they're like, holy cow, this is a little overwhelming. Like, where do they start? Like, if you could give like, hey, we just talked about a bunch of stuff here. We threw it at you, but just go do this first. Like, what are the kind of top 2, 3 takeaways of like what to go do right now? If somebody's listening to this, like, where do you go start?
Yep. So the biggest thing, whether you're a big investor or just getting started, is honestly to shift your mindset that you can no longer just go out there and say, we buy houses and think that you're going to crack through that clutter and crush it. Now you might be able to, if you got a massive marketing budget, but you need to go out there and go, okay, yeah, here's the service we have, but now make the decision to sit down today and write down the different ways that you can differentiate yourself from the others. Is it your background? Like, And it doesn't have to be that you're a big real estate person. It can be that you were a Navy pilot for 30 years or an airline pilot for 20 years, or you've been whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, there's something in your background, no matter what it is an advantage, because no one has a background exactly like you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It doesn't have to be playing towards I'm the most experienced real estate person. It could just be that I have a lot of empathy because I've been working with children for 30 years, and I worked with someone who they had a house problem, and made me passionate about how to help people so they don't have these house problems anymore.
That's awesome.
So write down how you can differentiate yourself. If you're a bigger investor, you can differentiate yourself with that experience. Put down there, we've helped 700, we've bought 700 homes in the Dallas market, whatever it is. It could be your process. So if you're a newer investor, your process probably isn't going to be it yet, but as you go, you'll hone in and find out ways to make your process better. Originally 15 years ago, probably a lot of people are out there buying homes, but I bet close in 7 days, all cash probably wasn't on everyone's advertisement. Someone said, you know what, all these people are buying houses, but how do I stand out? What I'm going to say I buy houses in a week. Then it's like everyone after that said I buy houses in a week.
Yeah, then it's 4 days and 5 days. It's like 8-minute abs. Like somebody then came up with 7-minute abs, right?
Exactly. So sit down and write down those things and just brainstorm, dream a little bit, and give yourself credit for who you are. Okay. Don't worry about and stress about who you're not and who they are. Give yourself credit for who you are, because you've got a lot to bring to the table, no matter the real estate experience you have.
That's good stuff. I've got a couple of new coaching students in our program, and they're teachers, like two guys that are teachers. And we kind of talked about them, like, just lean into that. Like, you're teachers and you helping people over here, and here's how you help people here. Yep. And it was easy for them, and instead of them thinking, I don't know how to compete in this world, we're like, be yourself, be who you are, and just kind of lean into that. So yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Dude, that right there, like, that's a perfect thing in the about page. Dude, so let's say you're a newer investor kind of going down that route, and you're going, man, well, I don't have any credibility. Yeah, you do. What about these parents that you maybe got close with because you had three of their kids go through there? Hit them up and say, I'm going into this new career. I'm really excited about it. And I know would you mind just kind of jotting down a couple words on your experience of me as a teacher for your children? And what they're going to be writing is, Mark, he was insanely patient with my kids and And, he was whatever, like he had empathy, and he was and he was a great teacher. Cool. Yeah. Like, you could remove the teacher part of it if you wanted to. And, when Mark worked with us and our family, he had amazing empathy and patience and Like, it doesn't matter. Keep the word teacher in there and relay it back to how that now transitions over to how you're going to have the same qualities with you as a seller.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. This is great information. So, Trevor, we're kind of running at the end of our show here. If folks want to learn more about you, where do they go?
Go to oncarrot.com. So oncarrot.com. We've got a ton of blog posts over there for free. We put out 2 pieces of content every week that actually dive into everything we just talked about in more detail. And man, we're just pumped to, the lead generation side of it's amazing. We love helping people. That's our conduit for delivering our message. The part that we love is like really helping people build that predictable, consistent momentum building lead machine that finally gives you that freedom, flexibility, hopefully the finances, so you can make that impact that you finally want to make in your business. And that's what pumps us up.
That's awesome. Guys, we'll add the links down below, the show notes here, for anybody who wants to go check it out. Thanks for being with us today, Trevor.
Hey, thank you, Mike, for the invite, and congrats on the new office.
Yeah. For Trevor's mentioning, we just moved into a new office like 48 hours ago. So you guys can't see it here for those of you that are watching, but it's absolute chaos, kind of with boxes and Cat 5 cables run all over the place. So anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us. This is show number 423 with Trevor Mauch. Trevor's been a good friend of mine for a few years, member of our Investor Fuel Mastermind, and just a great guy, a real giver. So we'll add the links down below for those you want to check it out. If you haven't yet, if you've been listening to our show for a while and you haven't given us a rating or subscribed yet, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, even on YouTube, where you can subscribe and give us a rating. We appreciate that. After 423 episodes, that's the kind of the fuel that keeps me going. If you guys are keeping track, we don't miss a beat. We publish a show every single week for over 4.5 years now. We're going to keep it coming at you if you just show us a little love. So appreciate you guys. See you on the next one.
Thank you.
If you're an active real estate investor already doing deals and looking to double or triple your business, you should consider joining the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. We're a small group of investors that share our best practices, tips, and tricks with one another in an effort to all win. Real estate investing can be a lonely business for successful real estate investors, but it doesn't have to be. Investor Fuel members meet 4 times a year, but we talk to each other 365 days a year, and we focus on improving the profitability of our businesses, improving the quality of our lives. That's why we do this, right? And making an impact on those around us so we can truly leave a legacy. We limit our membership to only 1 to 2 members per market, so everyone shares their knowledge, tips, and tricks openly and honestly. Our members include some buying 1 to 2 houses a month, up to some of the most respected investors and leaders in the real estate investing industry, some of which have personally done over 1,000 deals. If you'd like to be considered for our invitation-only world-class mastermind, please visit investorfuel.com to request your personal invitation. Our next meeting is coming up quickly. Go to investorfuel.com now to learn more. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the FlipNerd.com Investing Show. If you're not yet a member of FlipNerd, you're missing out. We have tons of great training, including a new detailed masterclass published each month and live training webinars with experts twice a month. Plus, you'll get access to all of our archives, where we already have a growing library of masterclasses and other training videos. Members also get membership in our incredible online mastermind group, where many of the top real estate investors from across the country, including many of the hundreds of guests I've had on the show in the past, are already members. Whether you're brand new, looking to get started, or a veteran, you simply must join today. I promise you won't be disappointed. To learn more or join today, please visit flipnerd.com. That's flipnerd.com. See you on the next show.